Hello, my name is Dr. Robert Barrett, Senior Associate, Strategy, Culture, and Human Behavior at Washington's Institute of World Affairs. I want to take a quick moment to talk about one of the areas that we're currently working on at IWA, namely the emerging trends in terrorism, and specifically why we feel that new approaches to dealing with terrorist threats are needed. For the first time in a decade, we are witnessing an increase in deadly terror attacks. This marks a reversal of the positive trends we're seeing with improved counterterrorism efforts. Globally, Islamic State is now the deadliest terror organization in the world, recently expanding its operation across 22 countries. Between the Islamic State and Hamas, Europe has experienced a sharp rise in terror attacks. According to Europol data, Europe went from 14 terror attacks in 2023 to 58 in 2024. In the United States, the FBI cases of domestic homegrown terrorism has increased several 100% in the past 10 years. If we look back over the last 5 years, close to 95% of all fatal terror attacks in the West were committed by so-called lone wolves. In my own terrorism research, I found very little evidence that lone wolves are truly alone, insofar as they tend to gain inspiration and motivation from social collectives who may not be action-oriented themselves, but can act as ideological cheerleaders for those who might. Another trend is that the age of terrorists is getting younger. In 2024, two-thirds of those arrested in Europe for Islamic State-inspired plots were teenagers. We're also seeing faster radicalization. That is from the time of first exposure to radical ideologies to terrorist plotting. This has shortened dramatically from many months to as short as a few weeks. Lone actors tend to be more successful as well than larger cells, insofar as they provide little warning and leave little trace while planning. The traditional counterterrorism tracking of the movement of people, money, and materials does not work well for attacks that involve knives, guns, and car rammings. Such acts lend themselves to a type of no-trace terrorism. The emerging threat environment requires new approaches. Many of the forces that fuel recruitment among young people prey upon the need to belong, to have purpose, and to win status. In grassroots war that involves non-uniform combatants, we've noted that very early joiners tend to be the most disenfranchised in society, meaning outcasts who are disconnected from normal life. Yet in terrorism, this is not necessarily the case. Many are from middle-class homes with plenty of opportunity. Young terrorists, who are mostly men, might be better described as being disenchanted with their own lives, politics, or the general direction of the world. If we were to describe the average terrorist today, and this is an average, that terrorist would be male, teens or early 20s, unemployed. He would have abandoned efforts at higher education and would feel politically alienated with no strong party affiliation. He would also tend to suffer from adverse childhood experiences. We've also known that looking for those plotting a terror attack is like looking for a needle in a haystack. But understanding terrorism today requires us to also understand the haystack itself. This is where those who study societal war can help. We are beginning to see strong parallels between individuals who join grassroots armed groups and young terrorists. And as someone who has studied recruitment and indoctrination into the most violent groups imaginable, I can say that we have a pretty good understanding of the social forces that can provide just the right conditions to spark conflict. We're now seeing some of that same simmering pressure give rise to these new forms of violent extremism. The proliferation of extremist groups online is the new medium for radicalization. Social variables like isolation, loneliness, give rise to web-based forums that can activate hate and deep aggressive drives. For example, behavioral research links loneliness with elevated feelings of aggression. And in studies, we've seen that depression can increase one's tolerance for violence. What we can say from all this is that understanding the shifting societal forces, political divides, economic expectations, increasing isolation, and an online world of ideological camps can help us better understand the path to extremism. At the Institute of World Affairs, we're synthesizing what we know of conflict dynamics and human behavior to better understand the minds of modern terrorists.